Now, a question that weirdly nobody has asked me is whether or not we're going to be able to adjust the damage numbers in combat. I mean,
nobody's asked that?
Nobody's asked that. So surprisingly, because for me, I kind of feel like maybe those critical numbers are a little bit too big, but nobody's asked it. But I can confirm, at least for myself, who is interested in that specific thing, that we are going to allow you to change the size of those floaties, as well as increase or decrease their opacity.
Good to know. Good to know. In fact, didn't you put a screenshot of that on your Twitter account this morning?
I did. I don't know. I don't think anyone was interested in that. It didn't. No, it hasn't gotten 180,000 impressions.
It's not a hot topic.
Not a really hot topic.
Okay, so we're going to see the ultimate attack here.
Okay. The one thing with this is we actually pretty much toned down the amount of damage this guy's doing a lot. Just for the purpose of the demo, but that is, you are shooting effectively nukes. As the Colossus. So
yeah, that's huge. It changes the battle.
Yes,
it does. And the ultimate abilities, you can see the meter filling up at the bottom of the screen there. Fills up pretty rapidly because we want you to have fun with that and we want you to use it. And,
yeah, I mean, honestly, a mistake we may have made in the theater demo is we kind of saved all those ultimates to the end, and so, but you probably would have had time to use them maybe two times before then.
Yeah, for sure.
If you had been like playing the game normally.
Are there swords?
We're not talking about the Interceptor and Storm at the moment.
Do armor pieces and guns have random rolls of perks and stats?
Yes.
Yes, that is how they...
Will there be cloaking?
We are not talking about the Storm and Interceptor at this time.
What about romances?
So we are not doing romances in Anthem. We are focusing our attention for relationships on relationships that everyone can experience, so that we can really go and put our effort into that. You will have characters that you will form relationships with and deepen and have conversations. We're just not doing romances, no nudity. Not that nudity is a necessary part of romances.
No, but it's, I think that when we think about relationships in Anthem, and you saw a little bit of your crew there with Alec and Faye and Owen, you're going to want to talk with them and get to know them better, and you're going to develop that feeling of camaraderie. And, it's still a great relationship that you can build.
What about emotes? What kind of emotes might we see in the final game?
So we do have emotes. So in the video, you do see waves. As I mentioned, the flare is an emote. You'll be able to customize those. Also, that we will have additional emotes as well. And people have asked me about dabbing. We don't have a dab animation, but I'd be amazed if someone's not building it. We are also the animation when you land, when you join someone in progress. That's something that you can customize. We are looking for some other things. I would really like for us to be able to do some more combat-related animations. We can't currently do that, but it's something that we are looking at. So strongholds are a combination of inside and outside. We didn't want to use the term dungeon because it just implies this sort of, either cave systems or something, some sort of castle or something. And these are really big spaces that include exteriors. So we wanted something that just conveyed that grandeur.
So we do skip forward here. Stronghold is about a, 35, 40-minute experience, depending on,
Yeah, we want the experience of a Stronghold to be something that you can do relatively comfortably, but have a meaty bit of content.
Right.
Will you be able to drive the Strider around the world? The Strider is that thing we showed at the very beginning of the demo.
No, Mr. the Machine, you cannot drive the Strider. You have somebody who drives it for you. His name is Halleck. But you as a player cannot steer it around the environment.
So basically, you have strongholds, you have missions.
Yep.
What else is on the map?
Strongholds, missions, free play, and then significant fast travel locations.
Yeah, there's fast travel locations, and I think we might just have sort of like point of view or landmarks.
Landmarks, yeah.
How big is the overall map compared to what was shown in the demo?
So in the demo, we are seeing a pretty small part. I think we cross maybe one subregion. There are 10 subregions in the game, so So this is a really hard question, even though it sounds like a really easy one, because without context and without being able to really feel it, it's really difficult to answer this question in a way, with an answer that makes much sense. I would say the game is very comfortably large.
It is, and like Mark was saying earlier, you have to kind of think about the playable space not as a plane, but as a volume, because you have all of this verticality in the game. So it's not just about running across it; it's about exploring it on all axes.
How will your Strider work in the environment versus, say, Fort Tarsis?
So really the difference from a gameplay perspective between starting from Fort Tarsis and starting from the Strider is the Strider lets you start out in the world, but with Fort Tarsis you're actually able to start quite a bit higher. So you can get a lot more distance on that flight. When you're starting the Strider, you're pretty high, but you're not going to get quite that distance of flight. You still have full access to the forge.
You won't have. Fort Tarsis has a lot of merchants where
That's
you
true,
can
and a lot of the role playing
buy stuff. A lot of the
takes
role
place
playing
there.
takes place there. And more things to explore. The Strider really feels kind of like a submarine on the inside.
Yeah.
It's pretty small space.
Yeah, I mean it's not designed to be the only place you're going to. You should be going back to Fort Tarsis on a relatively regular basis to see what's going on, how the world is evolving and changing.
Yeah, the Strider is a quick pit stop, right? You just want to go back to the Strider, maybe see what you picked up as far as loot, and then re-equip and head back out. Yeah.
Will the Strider be customizable, like being able to display javelins, gear, weapons, etc.?
So it will display your current javelin with its paint job and its customization. I don't believe at the moment that it's not something you can change. It might change over the course of the story a little bit. But,
and I think that's something that could be interesting for
it's certainly
live
something I could
service.
see after launch us adding, but not at launch.
Will we be able to harvest plants and hunt animals?
So we do have we have crafting, so you will. There is various nodes in the world that you do harvest, including plants, for purposes of crafting. Animal hunting would be done for a purpose, like you would have a mission or something like that, which would be to hunt animals. You wouldn't be doing that as part of the crafting.
Yeah, I mean, when you encounter animals of different type out in the world, most everything in the world is fairly hostile. There are a few things like the grabbits, and we saw some of our version of, I guess, what would be a ox or oxen in the demo that we showed last year.
Right.
They kind of ran across the screen there. So there are just kind of ambient creatures who aren't trying to eat you all the time, and I mean, yeah, you can attack them, but they have different behaviors. They may run away or... the oxen actually will all attack you.
Yeah, I mean,
the whole herd.
I've said before, I don't think there are any domesticated animals in the world. I think that something that would be done is that hunting would be done for the purpose of meat. You are a freelancer, however, not a
hunter.
Not a hunter, so it's not something that you would be doing.
Yep.
Can we buy materials from merchants?
So you will be able to buy a relatively small amount of crafting materials from merchants, but only using the sweat currency. You will not be able to use the premium currency for that. Only the currency you earn by playing the game.
Yep.
There's any kind of penalty for dying?
So at the moment, you do not lose any loot when you die. You can be either revived by other people in your party, or if they can't get to that, you can respawn to the nearest resupply point. I think dying doesn't have any penalty.
Yeah, not at the moment. I think that this is something that we're still playing with, honestly, and finding out what's most fun and what provides the coolest challenge.
Yeah.
So, TBD.
Yeah.
This one from the Destin channel. What's the best part of the grind? Like, how does it stay fun in hour 5 versus hour 500?
Nah. So I'll take a shot at that.
Yeah.
I think that for me, because I've played it a long time now, and it's because the world is dynamic. It's not always the same, same dudes who are waiting to ambush you at the same spot every time. It does change, and the weather has an effect on things. Day-night has an effect on things. So that's one thing, is that it's always kind of surprising at that base level. And the gear is fun to chase, and that's always something where you're trying to get a better version of a weapon, or just a straight up better weapon. I think there are lots of great things to find and lots of cool enemies to fight.
Yeah, I do think that the gear chase is really interesting because it's got a lot more variety in terms of like there's subtle variants, but then you also want to go and find that shotgun that's going to light the person on fire, and then find a better version of that shotgun that's going to light the person on fire, even more betterer.
And the world events, like when you
Right.
see with that Ash Titan, you know, you never know what you're going to hit. If you're out in free play, world events are going to happen, and that can be something like, oh, hey, there are some sentinels who have been imprisoned or who are under siege, and you got to go help them out. It could be that Ash Titan, could be something bigger or something better. But that's always something that's dynamic and surprising as well.
What about cross-console gameplay? That also from Ultimatum 50.
So crossplay of any sort is not currently in the plan. We are looking into it. There are some obviously issues, well-publicized issues of playing between Xbox One and PS4, but it's currently not in the plan even between Xbox and PC. But we are looking at it.
Yeah, we'll see.
Is there a Titanfall crossover?
I got that question earlier.
So official lore, no. But one thing that that our personalization system really does let us do, and I think you'll see this more and more after launch when we get more comfortable with the IP. It really lets us do things like, oh, it's a Titan skin for your Colossus, or here's an N7 skin. We actually showed that at the press conference for your Ranger, or like here's Isaac Clarke or as an interceptor and things like that. Like I think once we not that I'm promising any of those things,
Not a promise.
but I think once we get after launch, I think you'll see that become a really interesting direction for us.
I think, you know, don't take yourself too seriously. I think is one of the things that we think about. So yeah, let's have some fun.
If there will be Dead Space skins, so kind of similar to the Titanfall.
Yeah, I mean, we're not announcing anything right now, but Game Informer did give me $20 to do Isaac Clarke one. So I could certainly see as a possibility.
It's a really flexible system.
Yeah.
I think we can do all sorts of cool stuff with it.
What are those little creatures at the video called?
Oh, those are grabbits.
Those are grabbits. So they are basically they are the bottom of the food chain of Anthem. I do think they have really sharp teeth though when you get right up to them. So I think bottom of the food chain of Anthem is still gonna eat you if you get out of your suit. But yeah, they're called grabbits.
Yep.
Can you combo when playing solo?
Yes.
You can. The easiest one that I can think of off the top of my head is that Ranger freeze grenade. You can freeze someone and then use your shock mace, which is the melee attack for the Ranger, to combo off of that.
Yep, you can also do it with a lightning strike and a railgun.
Yeah.
There are all sorts of different ways, and it depends on how you configure your loadout. So, again, player agency, player freedom.
Yeah.
It's all up to you how you configure your suit.
Will there be saved loadouts, like 2 different loadouts that you can switch between?
Yes,
for
you will be able to do that.
Yes.
I don't know exactly how many we're going to give you per Javelin, but it'll be more than one.
Or are you ready to talk about the Rarity Tiers for?
Yeah, I talked about them before, and so let's see if I can. So you've got common, uncommon,
Yep.
rare,
Yep.
epic,
Yes.
legendary,
Yeah.
and then I think it's called masterwork. But I think we're kind of dithering over those upper 2 names.
Yep.
But those are the so there's 6 tiers, and yeah, the names of the upper 2 might change.
Yep.
More info on that stuff later too.
Yes, for sure. We'll definitely talk about that in much more detail later.
Potentially official names. What if you miss loot? What happens?
So I think the plan is that loot that you miss, you will get through a post system back at Fort Tarsis.
Yeah, as long as it's not just white. I don't think we're going to
Oh,
deliver
yeah, okay.
common
Okay,
loot
makes
to
sense.
you, right?
Sure.
Can you take off the javelins outside of Fort Tarsis?
Oh, can you get out of the Javelin outside of Fort Tarsis? There are a few story reasons why you will be out of the Javelin, not in Fort Tarsis, like in the Strider, but there's also some things that happen in story. But you can't just climb out of your Javelin, because then a grappler will come and eat your leg.
Yeah.